Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, I'm Mina and I'm proud to have you on my channel. Today we are diving into the world of modal verbs, focusing on must and have to. Let's explore how these two modal verbs work in English. Starting off with must. Must expresses necessity or obligation. When using must, simply pair it with base verb. No S, no ing, no ed. And it stays the same for all subjects. For example, I must study. You must study. We must study. She must study. He must study. Notice that there is no S added to must for he, she, or it. So, she must study. No, wrong. Or she must studies. Wrong again. All you need is must and simple verb. Moving on to have to. When using have to in positive sentences, for I, you, we, and they, use have to followed by a simple verb. However, for he, she, and it, we switch to has to. Then use a simple verb. For example, I have to study. You have to study. We have to study. They have to study. She has to study. He has to study. And it has to sleep. For example, the cat has to sleep. Practice using these rules and you'll master the use of must and have to in positive sentences in no time. Mina, how can we talk about past and future using these modals? Good question. Let me give you a quick reminder. There is no past or future form for the modal verb must. It is exclusively used in present time. So, when you want to talk about past or future, we turn to have to. In the past, use had to. And it's the same for all subjects. For example, I had to study. You had to study. She had to study. No changes. He had to study. See how had stays the same regardless of the subject. I had to, you had to, we had to, she had to, he had to, it had to. Would you tell me about future as well? To make future sentences with have to, we simply use will. Like, I will have to study. Or they will have to listen to their teacher when they start school. She will have to do her homework. He will have to go to school. In these examples, will indicates the future action, followed by have to, then simple verb. So while must is limited to the present tense, have to allows us to talk about past or future obligations. Practice forming some sentences in different tenses so that you'll become more confident in using these modal verbs more effectively. Write some of your examples in the comment section below. Imagine you're driving down the road and you come across with a red traffic light. In this situation, there is a clear obligation for drivers to stop. Drivers must stop at red traffic lights. If you don't stop, there is a chance to get fined or a punishment, or even you may lose your driver's license. Or you can say, drivers have to stop at red traffic lights. This sentence carries the same obligation. However, you might see the verb must more commonly in formal written obligations. For example, traffic laws. Now let's consider a workplace. In this workplace, you might see a sign that says, employees must wear safety helmets in the construction area. Or employees have to wear safety helmets in the construction area. Ignoring this rule results in serious injuries. Now let's focus on how to make negative sentences. We use mustn't, don't have to, or doesn't have to according to the subject. It's important to understand the differences between these two forms since they are not the same anymore. When using mustn't, we show that there is no other choice but to obey the rule or obligation. It shows that something is prohibited. If you do the action, you will have problem with the government, police, or you may even go to jail. For example, you mustn't exceed the speed limit. It's not just a suggestion, it's a strict rule. If you exceed the speed limit, you risk getting fined by the police. On the other hand, don't have to and doesn't have to imply that there is a choice. It indicates that something is optional or not necessary. Unlike mustn't, there are no negative consequences. For example, you don't have to wear a tie in that party. It means that it is up to you whether you want to wear a tie or not. There is no obligation or no penalty for not wearing a tie. Let's clarify the differences with more examples. For example, in the library, you mustn't talk loudly. If you talk loudly, you'll disturb others and you might get asked to leave. Next example. You don't have to eat spicy food if you don't want to. It's completely optional and you can choose to eat something else. No one gets angry at you if you don't eat spicy food. Next one. She doesn't have to submit her assignment today. The deadline is flexible. She can submit it tomorrow if she needs more time. Today is not the final day. Okay, now let me give you another fascinating aspect of must and have to. Don't we just use them for obligations? You can use them to express probabilities. When we are not completely certain about a situation, we can make a guess based on observations or circumstances. In this case, we can use must and have to. You need examples, right? Imagine you meet your friend Sarah after a long day at work. She's constantly checking her phone and she looks worried. You can make a guess based on her behavior. Sarah must be waiting for an important call. Here, must indicates a high probability. Now consider another scenario where you're planning a picnic with your family. You look out the window and you see dark clouds gathering in the sky. In this situation, you might say, it has to rain later. Here, has to indicates a high probability of rain based on weather condition. Imagine you're watching a soccer match between two teams. You might say, they must be the stronger team. This implies a probability based on the team's performance on the field. Do you understand me? Great! By paying attention to the context clues and using these modal verbs correctly, you can effectively convey your message and thoughts to others. Mina, talking about probabilities, tell me, how can I talk about something impossible? Good thing to ask. This time we use the modal verb can't. Imagine you're trying to solve a puzzle and you've tried every possible combination without success. You are sure that one special piece doesn't fit anywhere. Then you might say, this piece can't go here. Here, can't indicates that it's impossible for this piece to fit in this puzzle. Consider another situation, a scientific experiment where you're trying to find out the effects of temperature on growing plants. Despite providing optimal conditions, one group of plants shows no signs of growth. You might say, the lack of sunlight can't be the cause of their lack of growth. Here, can't expresses that it's impossible that sunlight is the reason for lack of growth. In short, when you want to express that something is impossible in a situation, use the word can't. Fantastic job! You've just completed an important lesson on the use of must and have to in English. In this lesson, we learned that must and have to are modal verbs used to express obligations. Must is used in formal written language. Must and have to convey the same meaning in positive sentences. However, they are totally different in negative sentences. We can use must and have to talk about possibilities. Now it's your turn. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Let me know about your thoughts and ideas in the comment section below. Also, share your sentences with must and have to here. Thank you very much for watching. Stay tuned for more English lessons. Until next time, watch one of these videos and improve your English. Bye-bye.